Hello everyone, hope we are doing well. Welcome to Alive with Gio. If you're watching live, of course, if you're watching on playback, hello, where were you at 12 o'clock? I was live, I was chatting with the live chat, interacting with our subscribers. Where were you? Anyway, for those that are joining me live, do get involved in the live chat. I'll be using you for content ideas throughout the next half hour or so. I thought we could have a little chat about a few things, and hopefully somebody will come up with our community question. Every show, I like it when someone puts up a question that everybody then answers later on in the show and see what you're all thinking, see how my opinion varies to yours and so on as well. Anyway, World Cup Day today, isn't it? Or as it's known to people like myself that are Scottish, it's just another day in November. It's just the 20th of November. We're not getting involved. But arguably, it's the best World Cup not to be involved in, if that makes sense. It doesn't feel like World Cup fever, does it? There's not really much of that going around. I keep forgetting the World Cup is on today. But nevertheless, I'll be tuning in at 4 o'clock. I'm looking forward to the football tomorrow. Obviously, England kick off tomorrow as well against Iran. So I'll participate in watching it, although my excitement is an all-time low. Anyway, in regards to West Ham, the manager chat is quieting down, isn't it? As expected. You know, a week now. It's only been a week since we played Leicester. Feels like, I don't know, it feels like a long time without football this week. I was watching Portsmouth on playing Derby on Friday night to get my football fix for the weekend, and it was quite a good game actually. It was a low score, 0-0. It finished 0-0, but it was a decent enough game anyway. But in regards to the manager top for West Ham, it sort of disappeared a little bit. I think it's expected, and it's what David Moyes needs. David Moyes needs this talk to go away, take the pressure off him a little bit. He's off to the World Cup. In what capacity is yet to be revealed, and this is where I don't like when a bit of a story is come out, or the story is only part of the context, isn't it? Moyes is off to the World Cup. Okay, but when's he going? Are the players in training, or do the players have a week off from West Ham as well? What's he going for? Is he just going to spectate, or is he going to watch the West Ham players involved? Is he going to watch potential transfer targets? Is he going for sort of ideas for tactics? Why is Moyes going to the World Cup? And I that's why I feel like when you remove the context, it's a bit of a dangerous game to play. Moyes is off to the World Cup. It's almost trying to trigger a bit of a reaction, which is why is he not on the training pitch? Why is he not getting ready for us coming back? I think it's a good thing he's gone to the World Cup, because I'm basing this off an assumption. My assumption would be that he's going to watch Paqueta and Kehrer and Aguero, and obviously Declan Rice and Areola, who's unlikely to play because Lloris is the French goalkeeper. But he doesn't need to see Declan Rice play. He doesn't need to know what Declan Rice is going to do for England. A little bit of Thilo Kehrer, I think. He's struggled in recent weeks. I think going to watch him play for Germany and see how they use him, certainly see how Brazil use Paqueta, and then just see how Aguero gets on for Morocco as well. I think it'd be good for Moyes to go there, because if Paqueta has a good tournament and Moyes is in the stadium watching him, even just play 2 games, play well in those games, get an idea of how he plays for Brazil, and try and take that back to West Ham. So yes, Moyes is off to the top. Right, let's see what you're all saying in the live chat. We've got a few topics I've got here. And Marky Boy saying manager chat hasn't calmed down amongst his friends. I didn't mean that, to be fair. West Ham fans are always going to discuss it. I meant in the mainstream media, because the World Cup's here now. That's taken over all the headlines. The Premier League's sort of taken a back seat. The Cristiano Ronaldo interview with Piers Morgan was brilliant for David Moyes, in the sense that it just moved everyone's attention towards that in terms of mainstream media. Because up until, after Saturday, it was a lot of like Moyes. And obviously, listen, we participate in that. Of course we do. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, if anything, but we as fan channels participate in that. Of course we do. It's the hot topic. We are going to discuss it. But mainstream media talk about David Moyes has calmed down a little bit. But the West Ham fans, of course, it won't. That is the biggest topic at the minute. But I think perhaps, Marky, hopefully you're still watching, correct me if I'm wrong, I would assume, even though the talk and the conversation and the debate and the hypotheticals is still going, I would assume they really won't he get sacked has died down, perhaps, and there's maybe a reluctant, perhaps, but an acceptance that David Moyes is going nowhere until after the World Cup anyway, and that Moyes will be in charge for the Arsenal game. But correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I mean. I think people are now accepting it. That links earlier on in the week to Pochettino, Tuchel. I didn't believe them for 1 second. I didn't expect the club to sack David Moyes. I had zero expectation Moyes would lose his job. So if I don't believe that, I can't then believe the links to the other managers, can I? I can only believe those if I believe Moyes is in danger of getting sacked. So it's the domino effect. I do hope that this week the club have been, I was hoping they'd done it a month ago, but certainly now, I hope the club's been shortlisting managers. Worst case, the very least they should be doing is making a list of managers that if Moyes was to leave for whatever reason, whether it's he's sacked or he resigns, they know who they're going to go get. They have to have targets in mind, whoever that is. Right, let's see what else you're all saying, then I'll talk about a couple of other things that we should talk about. Marky Boy saying that Fornals has been seen in Tenerife. I believe the players have got 2 weeks off, but I could be wrong on that. Don't take that as gospel, please. I believe they've got a couple of weeks off this week and next week. I think they're off, and then they come back and they've got 4 weeks of essentially pre-season to get ready for the Boxing Day game. Which, like I said, that's why it makes sense for Moyes to go to the World Cup this week. Why would he not? If these players aren't even in training, he might as well go there and have a look at some of the West Ham players. And perhaps there's a couple of players that are on our potential transfer target list for January. We'll get on to January transfer window in just a second. Ironix says maybe Moyes is going window shopping for January. It doesn't surprise me. Asbedian Curse disagrees with me, though. He thinks it's a disgrace that he's not sorting this mess out. You can watch those games later after work. Luke, hi, Luke. Check your bloody Twitter DMs, will you, Luke? I've messaged you. I'm waiting for your reply. Come on. And Luke says, hoping Bowen comes back at that point to prove, while Vinny says, relegation form for a year. Dinosaur, still in job. How can that be possible? Yurt says, it feels like the board and Moyes don't realise how much trouble we're in. Moyes off to the World Cup, players on holiday. We were only a point away from the drop zone, living in La La Land. I think it's healthy. I think a break is healthy to get the players away, go spend time with your loved ones, go on holiday, relax, just take your mind away from work and come back. And even when they come back, even if they're off next week as well, they've still got 4 weeks before they even have a competitive game of football. It's a month of training. There's a couple of friendlies. I know the Cambridge one is in doubt, but there's that game and then there's the Fulham one. I think it's good. I think it's good to get the players away to just recharge those batteries. It's been, a lot of games for West Ham with the European campaign as well. And last season, I remember Declan Rice and Aaron Creswell discussing it about how we were away from their families so much because of our success in the Europa League. And I'm the first to admit I forget about stuff like that. I don't consider it too much, the fact that they might have a game up north on the Sunday, so they'll be away Saturday night, possibly away Sunday night, back home Monday, Tuesday, then Wednesday they're flying off to a different country again. So they only get a couple of nights a week at home with their families. Of course, they're going to miss them. So I think so far this season, they've had plenty of European games as well. So to just spend a couple of weeks solid with their families, I don't think it's a bad thing myself. I can understand why some people don't like it. Me, I think it's a good thing. As long as it's done right, that's what I will say. As long as it's done right. Sam thinks it's anti-Moyes moaning for the sake of moaning. The song on the shop at Tesco, they'd still complain. Cyclops says, surely you should have a good idea how to integrate Scamacca and Paquette before you bought. I agree. I do agree. But it's not worked, has it? He might have thought, this is how I'm going to get them to work, and it's not quite worked as well as he thought. So I think if, like I said, he might not be going to the World Cup to watch Paquette. I'm just assuming. I hope that's what he's going for, to have a look at him playing for Brazil. And I think that if that is actually what he's doing, then, sort of fair play to him to some extent, because he'd almost be acknowledging he's not working well with Paquette so far, and he's having a look at how to fix it at West Ham. Because if he could go to the World Cup and come back with a solution to get the best out of Paquette, that's almost as good as signing a new player in January. He can unlock the best out of him for the rest of the season, then happy days, we're on to something. Mark, thank you. Mark just saying that the general consensus is that he's still going to be here, Moyes, at the end of the season. Squirrel says, unbelievable. Moyes being the guest suite, feet up, Budweiser and Liberty. Plenty of Budweisers in the hospitality suite now. Well, would Moyes take Ronaldo on a 6-month loan as he's going somewhere? He's not going back to Man United in January. Okay, let's start that. That'll be the first community question. Would you take Ronaldo? But make sure in the live chat, tell me if you're replying about the Ronaldo question. Would you take Ronaldo on loan? So yes or no, and why would you take him or why would you not take him at West Ham in January? Sounds a bit wild, that, but I don't think it's as bad as you're making, as it first sounds. John says we should not have to go watch Paqueta. He's supposed to be a coach. Fact is, he cannot coach offensive players. He needs to go. While Cyclops hopes that Moyes has break himself. Jazza, how many Qatar players can you name apart from Jimi Hendrix and Van Halen? No Gallagher. I like your joke though. I do like it. Hammer 99 doesn't mind the boys being off for a couple of weeks. They played a lot of football this year and last year, and a lot of them have looked jaded this season. I agree. I think they have looked a little bit pooped for it. Who do you think would replace him? See, I don't mind discussing this. I don't like, in a weird way, I don't like discussing who I'd want. Although I've sort of answered it on the Patreon one, but I don't want to do a video about who I'd like to see replace Moyes until it feels inevitable. I don't mind doing it when the end feels inevitable in the sense that he's going to get sacked. But until that point, I don't like it. Who do I think it would be? Sean Dyche. I'm almost convinced myself it'll be Sean Dyche. Mixale Antonio says, even if Moyes turns around, the writing is on the wall. Scott agrees that he thinks the break is healthy. Get them out the firing line. Reset, ready to go on Boxing Day. Jay thinks we'll be a powerful side when, or should I say, if we master how to use Paqueta properly to fit in. Greg hopes he's watching Bournemouth. So yeah, I mean there is that. Like you said, there is probably some players that we've got on a short list for January that will be at the World Cup. So he may be having a look at it. Chris says a full 4 or 5 weeks of just training and all friendly matches probably cause more harm than good. A week off to recharge and evaluate. Oh, don't worry about what I'm saying, Chris. Just keep your thoughts coming in. This is why I like doing these videos, because I really get to know what you are all thinking. You can choose the topics as well. Don't worry about what I'm saying. Put in your random thoughts. I'll have a read of them. I like it. Scarborough thinks Moyes is out there watching Paqueta, seeing how to get the best out of him. Kyle, do you think Moyes will be sacked? No, he would have been sacked by now. No, not a chance. Not a chance. Right, I'm going to skip a little bit. Right. Jazza will be watching. I won't watch the ceremony part. I will watch the game, Jazza. I think I'm very underwhelmed about the World Cup, but I will watch. And I'm hoping that, not today, I'm hoping tomorrow when I watch the games tomorrow, because there's better games on. I'm hoping that's when I'll start to get into sort of World Cup mode, if you like. But I'll certainly be watching all of them. I'm looking forward to seeing the West Ham boys as well. Now, before I forget, I should have done this earlier in the video, really. We've got our 11 days of 12 days of Christmas. So for the last 10 days, we've had an offer on. Today, we've got an offer on. Tomorrow is the final day. Today's offer is all about what's in these little boxes. And it is socks. No, honestly, it's socks. I know you're thinking that seems a bit random. It is socks. Here you go. Socks based on the classic kit. Let me see if I can do them from the front down so you can see them. Please excuse what I'm doing here, but there you go. There's your socks. That's the front part. And the other ones look like these, based on the 1995 kit. There you go. So socks. If you buy this pair, you get this pair as well. So you get 2 pairs for £10. They're £7.50 each usually, or you can get 2 for £10 today. The offer expires tomorrow. If you want them, go to the store, add each pair to your basket, and the discount is automatic. So there you go, hammerchatstore.com. It's brand new items that literally only arrived to my house Thursday, Friday. They've only just arrived. So there you go. They come in a little box, pairs of socks in there. So you fancy getting yourself some West Ham socks, a stocking filler for any West Ham fans of that, there you go, grab them. Sizes 7 to 11. It's one size fits all kind of thing. So hopefully most of you fit them. Right, Cristiano Ronaldo time. Will asked, would you take Ronaldo on a loan? I don't think James is keen. James says no. Kyle says no. Derusio says no. James says $500,000 a week for a lazy so-and-so up front. James, what if we got him without paying his wages? What if his wages was, we didn't have to pay that? Man United had to pay that. Would you take him then? Jay says every day of the week I take Ronaldo. He's a world-class player. Greg says yes, it's not his funny. Sean says he would not take Ronaldo on loan. Can barely get the full potential out of the players we have now. Why waste our money on someone like him? Yurt said if Ronaldo wanted to come to West Ham for 6 months, I'd take him and hope he could score 15-ish goals. He'd be lucky if he scored 5 in our team. Ironix says yes, we need inspiration like we have with Lingard, with no characters in dressing room. Graham says yes, there's no expectations apart from what we already know. Marky says he's got no, regarding the break, says he's got no problem with the players and staff having a break to recharge, anything to improve the second half. Taz doesn't want Ronaldo. He's an overpaid diva. Luke from the Three Hammers says, Ronaldo, yes, scores goals. Could see it as his Maradona project. Wins Conference League with him instant legendary status. Richie says, if Man United pays wages, then it'd be a no-brainer getting Ronaldo. Marble says, Ronaldo wouldn't come too big. And Artovich said, oh, yeah, forget if he'd come. Forget if he'd come. It's hypothetical. This is the good thing about the show. It's all made up stuff. Would you take him if he would come? That's the question. Jazza said he's wearing his Hammers Chat Paqueta shirt to every Brazil game. Good man. I like that. Osbidi and Kerr says no to Ronaldo. We've already got the worst running stats in the world. More Moyes. Europe, by the way, we can't recall Vlasic. It's done. We can't get. It doesn't matter if he has a good World Cup. We ain't getting him back. I would expect him to join Torino in the permanent in January. Right, let's see what you're all saying about Ronaldo. Scott says get him to the ball. Moyes did have a chat with Ronaldo after our game against him last month. Jay says, let's be realistic. Ronaldo will never join us. Do you know something? I know it sounds a bit mental. I think we could get him. He's got to go somewhere. His contract's going to get ripped up. He's going to be a free agent. And the top clubs they're not going to touch him with a barge pole. He's now damaged goods, isn't he? So any club right up the top level, they're not going to take him. I think he'll go back to Sporting. My prediction is Ronaldo will return to Sporting on a free. So I don't think it's out there that he wouldn't join a other Premier League club. Arguably, he might be inclined to join a Premier League club to almost prove he can still do it at this level and to stick two fingers up at Old Trafford and say, look, I'm good enough. I'm scoring goals. It's not me that's the problem. It's you. It's your club that's the problem. My dark horse for the Cup, James, is Japan. I think Japan have... I don't know loads about them, though, but individually, they're very impressive. I think the Celtic group of Japanese players are very, very good. There's one in particular I would love to see at West Ham. You know, Mitoma's breaking through at Brighton as well, and I just think they're not doing too bad actually. So I think they're going to probably go further than some people think. But I must confess, James, my knowledge on countries is very limited. Do you know what I mean? Like if you were to show me half the countries and their first 11 there, I'd only know some of the players. I won't even know the full 11 for most of the countries at this at the World Cup. But this is why I enjoy the World Cup. This is why I look forward to it. Watching players I've never heard of before playing really well, discovering new talent. I thoroughly enjoy that. That's part of the appeal of it. The Premier League, when you sit down, you watch it, you know all 22 players. You've seen them all before. But with the World Cup, I don't know them. When we watched the game today, Qatar play Ecuador, obviously we know one in particular. But apart from the striker, there's not that many players we know. Obviously, they've got a few Premier League-based players in that team. But apart from those, I don't know any of the players. I'm looking forward to discovering new talent this winter, actually. That's the one thing I really like about the World Cup. But anyway, let's see what you're all saying again. Hammer99 says, Ronaldo's a no-brainer. We're desperate for a penalty taker. Marky says, get Ronaldo in. Wages, I think Marky's saying wages are a problem. Darren says Ronaldo and Skamaka would link up really well. James said he'd have a point to prove after Man United to 100% take him. James Gunn would 100% take him as well. Anthony said Ronaldo would be isolated. He'd have the... Sam says no to Ronaldo. It's easy to say he'll score goals. Phantoms ignore the bigger picture with regards to the flow of the team, his attitude behind closed doors. Man United signed Ronaldo and went backwards. Andy says hypothetical, then yes, we could offer him the European football. Scott reckons he's off to Newcastle. Muddy says his personality would shake up the team. Squirrel thinks would be a sensible final project for Ronaldo. Henrik says we don't create any chances. Ronaldo needs them to score. He'd be isolated and be going around moaning for 95% of the game. The one thing I will say about him, I know it's only hypothetical, but if he did rock up, is that He'd demand better. He would demand better. And I still remember away to Man City. I still remember away to Man City when Jesse Lingard was with us and he was pressing. And you could see Lingard turning around at the players, be saying, "Get up the pitch! What are you doing? Get up!" And we got beat the game, but we had a bloody good go at them. We were unlucky in that match. And it was just the way that Lingard was demanding the players just move 10 yards up the pitch and take it to Man City. It was almost like a little bit of Man United mentality, if you like, that we win every game kind of thing. We don't sit back, get going. And Ronaldo would have that attitude, that sort of that maybe some of our players don't really have, that determination to win every game, that sort of, they call it winners mentality or big club mentality, whatever you want to call it. He would bring that to the team. And I think we are missing a bit of leadership at the club at times. And I think, would I be against it? Not really. Do I believe it, by the way? It's just hypothetical. Not really. We need something, though, don't we? We do need something. Look, player gutted is not there. Aland is obvious. Well, probably Skamaka, from being West Ham biased. He would have liked to see the young Georgian guy. Don't worry, I can't spell his name either, and I don't know how to pronounce it. I know who you're talking about. He would have been good to watch, wouldn't he? I don't know. There must be some big player there. There must be a couple of world-class players that's not at the World Cup. It was a bit like when Shevchenko would sometimes miss out on big tournaments because of who he played for, kind of thing. And where are we? James says Serbia to get out of the group is even money. Crikey, that is big odds. I quite fancy Serbia to do quite well. I think Kostic should be in for a good tournament anyway. As well, Scott's lost the sweepstake at work. That's a bit of a shame. Unlucky Scott. I hope it was only a couple of quid to enter that sweepstake because you've lost your money there. Muddy says Qatar will be awarded a penalty. I have to confess, right? I do have to confess. I've got a bet on for the game. I've done Qatar to win, the penalty taker for Qatar, Ali something to score the first goal, and the keeper, Al Sheehan maybe, to get booked, 60-1. So that's my bet for the first game, just in case it happens, just in case. It's one of them, when you say it, when people hear it, they go, yeah, I can see that happening. Well, that's why I've done it, in case the most obvious thing happens, and you think, well, why didn't I bet on that? Well, I've made sure I put a bet on this. So that's my bet for the first game of the tournament. My other bet, I've got a couple of season tournament long ones. Saudi Arabia be the low scorers of the tournament is my main bet for it. They've got a tough group. They don't score many goals. I think they're almost like Moyes, if you like. I'm pretty sure 40% of the last game, like so many 10 games or something, there's been like a goal at most in the Saudi Arabia games. So I can imagine them trying to keep it tight for the tournament and not score too many goals. So anyway, what else I've got here? I've got to see something here. Oh yeah, the January transfer window. I've got a few things that I'll be here for ages. Right, I'll rattle through these. Declan Rice defender David Moyes. This hasn't really got the attention, and I've been meaning to do it, but keep forgetting about it. But when Declan Rice was speaking about David Moyes, he basically said the Moyes out talk was nonsense. Now you might think, well, why are you bringing it up then? Because if it is kind of expected, but B, more importantly, is when we do these videos, I'm very conscious of what the content I'm putting out, and I'm also conscious of the content Gonzo's putting out as well, so that it's honest, but also balanced to some extent. Having an opinion piece on as a video, it doesn't really matter what it is. If it's an opinion, it's opinion. It doesn't matter. But when you're reporting on news, when you're reporting on articles, I think it's important that you're almost reporting on them all, that you are balanced then. And obviously, between us, we've discussed, an overhaul might need next summer. We've discussed Alex Carr's comments about David Moyes potentially getting sacked. But we haven't discussed Declan Rice saying that the Moyes out talk is nonsense. So the reason I'm featuring it is because it's important in the interest of balance. Also, Martin Noble's been praising David Moyes as well, saying that he is really good with the players and his man management is really good, obviously opposite to what Alex Carr's had said. But in regards to the January transfer window, what I will say is Martin Noble's comments, I've got really runny nose, Martin Noble's comments in regards to January transfer window, he's been speaking about how he's going to be having a say on signings at West Ham, and he's going to be very honest. But the interesting thing isn't so much what he's saying he's going to do, as in he's going to be involved in that. He's a sporting director, of course he's going to be involved. But it's more the fact that he's talking as if we will be making signings in January, which is reassuring. I know people say, well, would you give Moyes more money? Not necessarily, but certainly give Rob Newman money. Someone needs to be doing transfers in the January transfer window. I think the right back position needs sorted in January. I don't want to go the rest of the season with those three options at right back: Thilo Kehrer, Ben Johnson, Vladimir Coufal. I don't want them three. I mean, it's mental. Three, and they're all good players as well. Coufal was unbelievable for us, and for $5 million, he's a really good signing. Coufal could leave tomorrow, never play a game for West Ham again, and I'll stand by that. For $5 million, it was a really good signing for us. He's not been great for the last couple of seasons, but that one season, he was magnificent. $5 million, really good buy. But he's not doing that at the minute. Ben Johnson's not doing it either. So I think right back is the one position I would really go out to sort ASAP in January. And also what it does, it just moves Thilo Kehrer into centre-back. He's looked all right. Yeah, he looked really good centre-back, Thilo Kehrer. Moving back in there. I'm expecting Germany to keep playing a back three throughout the World Cup. I imagine Kehrer will be right centre-back. And if he performs really well, that might give Moyes a bit of food for thought, because we've always been sort of told that that's what Moyes wants to do this season, with Aguerd, with Kehrer there, and then either Zuma or Creswell at left centre-back. And then the problem is you ain't got a right wing-back then, have we? We don't have a right wing-back. So we would need to rectify that in there as well. So January comes round. I want to see a right-back that can play right wing-back. Tariq Lamptey, not getting enough game time at Brighton at the minute. Is he available? Isaiah Jones was the one I wanted, but since Michael Carrick's gone to Borough, he switched to 4-2-3-1 and moved Isaiah Jones up into right wing rather than right back. I'm not too keen on him. I think Spence at Tottenham, he's had about 4 minutes in the Premier League so far. Would Conte let him leave the club? Possibly. Possibly not, but I think it's worth the inquiry. Could we buy Spence from Tottenham? Could we make him our right back, our right wing back? I think there's plenty of options. I saw us linked to Wan-Bissaka of 10 million. For 10 million, I'd be all over that. I'm not his biggest fan in the world. I think going forward, he's very limited. But defensively, I think he's very, very sound. So I'd be happy with that as well. So I think right backs, I think there's actually quite a lot of potential in the January transfer window for players that may be available. And that's without even looking at the World Cup or anything, for a little bit of inspiration and keeping our ear to the ground. The thing is, Osbidi, and I'm beyond that now. In regards to Ashby at right back, I'm done. I just don't see a future for him at West Ham. But I don't blame, like I said, I don't blame Moyes for it. I covered it in a video last week about Creswell and Ashby. I don't blame Moyes. I think Moyes was stuck between a rock and a hard place, in the sense that, do you play him, but he might leave for free? Then you look a bit stupid in doing so. You've annoyed Coufal and Ben Johnson at the same time. But then if you don't play him, you're just pushing him further out the door. I don't think Moyes could have won. The only way Moyes could have won was by playing him and Ashby signs a new contract. There's probably a correlation there, but there's also no guarantee that he would sign a new deal if he got played. So I feel Moyes couldn't really win in that scenario. There's probably like 4 different outcomes in regards to Ashby in terms of what we do and what the outcome is. And I think Moyes wins in 1 and loses in 3. So the odds were stacked against him, I think. Yes, I have listened to the Jackmate podcast with Mark Noble. Really, really good. Go check out if you haven't already. It's on Spotify. There's lots of clips over on the Happy Hour podcast channel as well with Mark Noble. Lots of different 10-minute segment clips as well. So go check them out. I'd read the book. I got the book a week early. Thankfully, kindly given to me by the publishers of Mark Noble. They sent me the book a week early, so I was able to read it. So the day before, 2 days before Mark Noble went into the studio, Jack just asked me if I'd read the book and there was anything to ask. So I just sent him a few suggestions, and he didn't take them all, but he used something, molded some of his questions. But yeah, it's a good podcast he's done, so go have a little look. And Andy and Scott, both in different orders, also think that it's a really good deal to get Tariq Lamptey. Lunch, I'm not having lunch today, Scott. I had a big breakfast. I'm going on holiday later this week, so I need to get all the orders for the shop done. So I'm working. I was up at 6:30 today doing orders. Here you go. There's the bag I'm working on in a minute. So I'm working on all the orders today. So today I'm doing this video. Once I've done this video, I'm getting straight back to get more orders. Hopefully people will be ordering up the socks and all that, but I'm trying to get the orders done. So before I go on holiday, everybody can get their items and stuff. And then when I come back, I'll have a week's worth of orders to catch up on. That's why we've been doing 12 days of Christmas now, because of A, my holiday, and B, to avoid the Royal Mail strikes. There's obviously strikes coming up, so it's to get them out before the strikes occur. And I'm not criticizing before someone suggests hinting I don't agree with the strikes. I think the right to protest is a very important thing in society, and I don't know enough about why they're striking and stuff like that. So therefore, I keep my mouth shut. If you don't know enough about something, just shush. That's my opinion anyway. Learn about it and then have an opinion, or shush. If you don't know something, shush. That's why when certain topics come up, and it's big topics, not in relation to West Ham, it's more political stuff. You won't hear me talk about it on here. You won't hear Gonzo talk about it on here, because we don't know enough. We don't know. We might have a small opinion. We could maybe discuss it between ourselves, but on air and stuff, it's far too. It's just people come here for an escape from real life, I think, to listen about West Ham, not about stuff going on in other countries and in the world. And that this is an escape, so we'll try and keep it as an escape. Don't know why I'm talking about it. I've voluntarily started yapping. Dangers of doing live streams, isn't it? If you go off that tangent, you're doomed. You can't edit it out. So here we go. Right, let's just say I'll do one or two more questions, then I'm going to shut up and disappear. Greg, win the conference for West Ham or Scotland for the World Cup? Oh, I'll be honest with you. I don't mind saying this, right? I really don't mind saying this. Scotland to win the World Cup. And it depends on the competitions. Scotland to win the World. I think the World Cup, I've always seen it and I always will see it. The World Cup, up until this one, actually, I might change my mind after this World Cup. But for me, that's like the number one achievement in football. I think that is the pinnacle of a player's career. That's why when Antonio went to represent Jamaica to try and get the World Cup, good on you. Go out there, smash it, get some goals for Jamaica, get them to the World Cup. He didn't manage, but I completely understand why he did it. I think it's a terrific thing. Do you know when people talk about when they were little, growing up, what they were dreaming of? Mine was to play for West Ham and to play for Scotland at the World Cup. Of course it was. But let me just counteract my own thing here. I would pick West Ham winning, say, the Premier League over Scotland winning the Euros. So while I've got the World Cup, the club stuff comes next, and then there's the Euro Championships. So if I had to sort of order it very quickly, Scotland World Cup, West Ham. Do you know something? This is going to sound weird. I think people will get it. West Ham FA Cup. I'd probably pick that over the Premier League. I don't know why. Just a thing. West Ham FA Cup, West Ham Premier League, West Ham Conference League or a other European title, West Ham League Cup, and then Scotland Euros and Scotland Nations. It's not really a thing, Nations League, but I'll stick that in as well. So there you go. World Cup, FA Cup, all the other domestic ones, then Euros. Hopefully that makes sense. But I understand if people prefer club over country. It doesn't bother me. I get it. It's just my personal preference. Right. Marky says West Ham fans love a scapegoat now. It's Kehrer. He started well, let's be honest. West Ham fans confirm right back. Looks good for Germany, but he's playing a poor West Ham team. Go watch my review from the Wolves game. He played one game at right back, and I just thought, nah, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. He was out of position far too much. But what I will say, Mark, in defence of Thilo Kehrer, right, at right back, something he can't do, ironically. I'm joking. He's not that bad. What I will say about Thilo Kehrer, he's playing right back for West Ham. Previously, PSG and Germany, right? It's a bit different. When you're at PSG, when you're playing for Germany, your team is dominating possession usually. The amount of defensive actions you must do is probably a lot lower than it is for West Ham. This whole sitting back, soaking up pressure for 90 minutes, it's probably new to him. He's probably stood there thinking, what on earth is going on? Why are we doing this? What is this? And I think that's almost like the danger to some extent, that when you're bringing in a player that's used to playing with so much talent around him, and you're putting him next to, again, with the greatest of respect, with Craig Dawson next to him, with Thomas Souček, the needed centre midfielder to him, he's going to struggle. He's going to need to adapt a little bit. He's going to have to get used to it. He's going to have to get used to, actually, I need to be 10 yards further back than I am for my country And for when I was at PSG, when I was right back at PSG, I could go bombing forward loads. Can't do it so much now because my centre midfielder is more prone to losing possession. Instead of taking 1-2 passes to get out to me, it's taking 4 or 5. It's completely different. I think you've got to allow Kehrer to bed in at right back a little bit. The problem is we don't know how long it's going to take. We don't know how long it'll take until Kehrer becomes a right back. I think in possession, he looks really good. I think he looks good going forward. His crossing's good. His passing's good. He's got decent pace about him. It's just the defensive side when he's playing right back. It's dangerous. He gets caught out far too much. He's drastically out of position a lot. And when we did the player ratings on Patreon for the Leicester game, I said in that, when we were discussing Thilo Kehrer, go back and watch the second goal. Watch Harvey Barnes' goal. You can watch it after this video. Look it up on YouTube. It'll take you literally 1 minute to find it and watch it. Watch Harvey Barnes' goal. Harvey Barnes is in a similar position to Thilo Kehrer. When it's a stupid pass by Fornals. Well, easily cut out by Luke Thomas, but it falls to Barnes, who plays it to someone, Jamie Vardy, I don't know, I can't remember, Dennis Pratt, one of them. He passes to someone and moves. Kehrer and Barnes aren't that far apart. By the time Barnes gets the ball in our box, Kehler's about 25 yards behind it. He doesn't run. He doesn't even chase him. Kehrer just jogs back. And that's my biggest issue. I don't mind players not being good enough. I don't mind players making mistakes. But what I do mind is players not being arsed or not giving their all for the shirt. That's when I get an issue. In that game, like I said, it's a huge game for us. That goal killed us. We were looking at 1-0. We were playing some decent enough football, weren't creating any chances. We're knocking the ball about well. Leicester were retreating more and more. But that second goal killed us completely. And I've seen a player just jogging back. That really irritates me. I find that almost unforgivable because that's, like I said, that's not about settling in. That's not getting used to your teammates. That's just personal effort. That's all it is. It's effort, desire to get back. There was none of it from him. Go watch that second goal and I think you'll soon get a little bit annoyed. You'll see what I'm talking about. Well, I'm going to shut up in a minute. Lastly, Joan's just tuned in. Joan, thank you very much. Why is Dice on a thumbnail? Charlie makes the thumbnail, so Charlie had to make the thumbnail last night. I said, I'll probably do a bit of manager talk, just throw something together. So he's just throwing something together. We didn't really discuss Sean Dyche or anything. Don't worry, it's just a thumbnail. Charles says our transfer window was a disaster. We need to learn that fullback is a position where you have to invent next nowadays and not do it on the cheap. Invest. Sorry, Charles. Invest nowadays. I agree. 20 billion plus. Unless your scouting is really good. You tend to need big money. Greg said, I think for the man who's given us our best ever seasons in the Premier League, it would be premature to sack him after 16 games. Give him the season and see how it goes next season. Phil says we create plenty of chances, but we're not putting them away. Ronaldo could do that, but I can't see him flourishing under David Moyes. Kalita says, I don't know why we keep Fornals, who is the worst of the worst. Sorry, Fornals fans. And Jazza said, who do you get in sweepstake? He got France, Senegal, Saudi, and Iran. We're doing it on points basis. Yeah, Jazza, there's only me and Gonzo and Charlie. We don't really have a sweepstake between us. There's no work sweepstake here. It wouldn't be very much fun. We'd all have a third of the World Cup campaign. We've got a family one going on. I don't know who I've got, actually. I'll find out. We've got, the thing is, it's done differently. It's not winner takes all. It's a little bit... they come up with like random categories as well, just to keep it so everyone's got a chance, kind of thing. Not my options. Who have I got in it? Let me see. I've got Costa Rica, USA, Spain, and Ghana. You can imagine how happy I was when those 4 teams came out. I think Spain will be one of the disappointing countries at the World Cup. Right, I'm going to disappear now. There you go. So there you go. Thank you very much for joining me. If you joined me live, thank you. Really, really appreciate it. If you're watching on playback, I appreciate it too. Get your West Ham socks. Get your socks off. Get your socks off, Gio. There you go. Everyone likes Primal Scream, right? There you go. Get your socks. HammerChatStore.com. 2 pairs for £10. If you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it. Subscribe if you're around here. If you've not checked out my interview with Antoine Fernand, please do. I think it's really good, but I'm a little bit biased. I shall catch you tomorrow at some point. See you tomorrow.